Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Saturday, March 22nd, 2025. And fight day. How much do you love fight day? It doesn't matter who's fighting or where the fights are. Just has a different sort of feel about it, doesn't it? And although tonight's fight's not the biggest, I get that. It's still got a bit of a buzz about, a lot bigger buzz than what it would have been if it had been old mate Duard Jordan. So yeah, George Kambosos will fight Jake Whyllie tonight. Shanika Johnson against Nina Hughes on the undercard. Sky Nicholson against Tara Brown on the undercard. We had the weigh-ins yesterday. Pretty much went according to script, though we did see probably a more, let's just say, upbeat George Kambosos. I think we saw a little bit of the George Kambosos we're used to seeing at fight days or fight weigh-ins, whatever it is. A little bit of spice in there, a bit of attitude. And George is one of those guys who really needs to get himself up. And again, I think this week he hasn't really been sure how to take Jake Whyllie, because Jake Whylie's just been a humble, well-spoken young man who's grateful for his opportunity. And what do you do with that? If he used to go and head-to-head with the likes of Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney with all the back and forth and the head-to-head face-offs, all this sort of stuff, what do you do when you've just got a young, respectful kid who's just happy to be there? It's an interesting one. But he did yesterday, as I said, like just the first signs of, all right, buddy, it's fight time now. You've had your 2 or 3 days in the limelight. You've got your press, got a little bit of attention. You've had a few microphones in your face. And now it's time to play with the big boys. So that's the attitude I got from George Kambosos yesterday. Credit to Jake Whyllie, though. He stood his ground. He little quirky little smile that he just faced off with George with. And yeah, I thought we're in for a fight. I mean, again, Jake Whyllie looks a lot bigger than George Kambosos. Both guys come in well under the weight, about a pound under, or just over a pound under. So both guys should be nice and healthy and ready to go. I think both guys did say they made weight pretty easily, though it was funny at one stage where George Kambosos said, well, I know he's been up all night running and riding bikes and sitting in saunas and all this sort of stuff, to which Jake and his team couldn't help but have a laugh, because I've got a feeling that it didn't quite happen that way and George was sort of playing mind games, but that's what happens at this level of boxing. So, hang on, I've just got to get Neil here. There he is. The girls, well, they all made weight pretty easy, didn't they? I didn't like, though, that, look, I haven't minded the Tara Brown stuff with Sky Nicholson. I get that. She's that brash American and she's trying to get in the face of the young upstart Aussie. I mean, who does she think she is, thinking an Aussie can beat an American, all that sort of stuff. But I didn't like that she, after they faced off and refused to shake hands again, but actually followed her over to her little spot on the stage as she's trying to get dressed and being in her face. Look, I get it, you're trying to get yourself up and, I don't know, well, actually, what are you trying to do? Yes, we know you're big and bad and you're going to knock out this young Aussie girl, but okay, you've had how many or how much or how long to be talking like that? When it comes to the weigh-in, do your face off, get dressed, go and get something to eat and get the hell out of there and go and prepare for a fight. The fact she's over there, I mean, this is, you've got to remember, Tiara, you're not the main event. You know, all the cameras aren't there for you. All right, they're there for the event, but they're not there just for you. So just save it, okay? Do your face off, do your trash talk, go get dressed and get out. To follow her over there as she was trying to get organised and get ready to leave, to follow her over there and be in her face, a little bit over the top, even for an American. So, but anyway, it's all part of it. Nina Hughes, Shanika Johnson, respectful as you would expect. Both girls really switched on. That's a fight that I think's probably gone under the radar just a little bit. And I know it's hard for a world title fight to go under the radar, but both girls, I mean, the first fight was a good fight, obviously controversial. I just like the look in both girls' eyes, both something with a point to prove. And I think we'll get a really good fight out of those two. I'm surprised, though, that it's actually further down the card, because I think I've got a feeling that the Terramona fight might be in between the girls. I think it's obviously George and Jake at the top, Sky and Tiara as the main support. Then it's Terramona, and then it's Sky and Shanika. So Obviously, there's got to be a reason. Maybe there's some teams that are involved in both. I'm not quite sure, but a little bit odd. So we'll go through the fights one by one. I've had a bit of a look at the undercard, some of the fighters, and all I'll say is with the undercard, if you're planning to get to the pub or watch it at home, whatever it is, and you're looking to just get there for the main fights, don't wait too long, because some of these fights aren't lasting long, I can tell you. I've had a good look at some of the opponents on the undercard, and it's not going to be a long one. It's going to be over very quickly. Let's go through them first. All right, first of all, I think this is an untelevised one. This is Jaden Buwan, Jordan Casaliris. I'm not quite sure. I've seen Jordan Casaliris fight a couple of times. I think I can't remember, but Jaden Buwan, I think that's how you pronounce it. Apologies if I've got that wrong. 3-0. He's up against Jordan Casaliris, who's 1-3-1. You would think, based on the records, that would be a night or a good win for Jaden Buwan. You would think that Jordan Casaliris is a bit of a record filler. Now, these over 4 rounds at welterweight. So hopefully we'll just get a nice 4-rounder out of that one. Then we get into the main card, and we've got Whyllie, Ohio, who is 23-1 against, if I can pronounce this, Akafob Oriawan. Now, I know that's probably not right. Let's just call him the Thai. The fat, overweight, overmatched Thai. And I'm being blunt. Embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. Whyllie, Ohio, I think he's coming off, did he have the win over Lucas Brown last year? Remember that? So, yeah, so he knocked out Lucas Brown the first round. Won a decision over Django Apollo in his last fight back in September against the Thai, who will probably get blown out in a round. He looked like he should be fighting at maybe middleweight or less, probably maybe 154, and he weighed in at about 235. So that probably tells you all you need to know. This fight is going about a minute. That's for that one. So we won't take too long on that fight. The next one's probably not much better, to be honest. This is our man Iman Kadaev against Derval Palacio. Now, Iman Kadaev 9-0, coming off actually a pretty good win in I think he fought in Serbia, didn't he? In Russia. Where is he? Yes, he did. That was against Junior Menendez, and he won with a 3rd round knockout. Now, Derval Palacio is, forgive me as I look at my phone here, guys, 14-3. He is coming off a win over Sergio Dantas, whoever that is, but he's lost, as I said, 3 times. Now, I can guarantee as well this fight isn't going more than probably 2 rounds. This will be a destruction. I watched a bit of Palacio yesterday. Yeah, not great. A bit of a battler, but Kadaev is, in my opinion, a future world champion, at least a future world title challenger. And this Palacio is in a bit of trouble. Let's just say 2 rounds, 3 rounds max, and it is all over. Then we go to Terramona Jr. We'll just go through these lesser fights first. I know Terramona's higher up the card, but for me, he's still should be down the bottom below the girls. But he's 6-0, 6 KOs, coming off that 1st round knockout of what was his name? Osasu Otobo. That was on the undercard of Opetaia and Nyika. Guy shouldn't have been in the ring. That was embarrassing as well. But he's up against James Singh, 12-5. Now, a little bit about our mate, James Singh. 12-5, 11 KOs, which looks great on paper, I know. Wait till you see him fight. All right, so he's been to Australia 4 times. He's been knocked out in the 1st round 3 times and knocked out in the 2nd round once in his fights in Australia. All his other fights have been in Fiji. So I can guarantee you this, the fight doesn't probably go past a minute. Well, maybe it'll be a little bit, well, that's probably been a little bit harsh, are we? Maybe a minute and a half. It is not going past the 1st round. That is another complete mismatch. So we're pretty much, apart from the young guys at the start, we've pretty much got 3 absolute mismatches in a row that will probably go a total of about 4 or 5 rounds. So not a great start, but end of the day, we're there for the main fights, aren't we? So let's not spend too much time on those fights because they don't deserve it. All right. I know they're showcasing the A side too, by the way. But surely when you've got this type of event, it's on the zone live, surely we can get better fights than that, guys, surely. And then these are the guys on the A side, surely they would want better opponents than this. A Thai and a Fijian. And who's the other guy he's fighting? Where's the other one from? Argentina, I think. Karayev, I think. Where was he from? Should not be in the ring with Iman Karayev anyway. So what have I done there? Sorry. All right, we're back. All right, so let's get into the main fight. Sorry, again, don't worry too much about the other ones. All right, so we'll start off Shanika Johnson and Nina Hughes. Sorry, my internet's not really working that great here. Record's not coming out. Either way, it doesn't matter. Shanika Johnson, the WBA 118-pound champion in the rematch against Nina Hughes. Neither one of these girls have fought since, was it May last year when the controversy of the fight erupted. Nina Hughes was announced as the winner, and then Lieutenant Dan Hennessy overturned, well, he didn't overturn the result, the judges overturned it. Well, he read it, no, sorry, I'll take that back. The judges didn't overturn anything. The judges turned in their scorecards, which had Shanika Johnson winning the fight, and Lieutenant Dan Hennessy read out the wrong scorecard. Or the wrong result, and there it is there. She's 16-2. So Nina Hughes was announced as the winner, and then it was he read out the correct result. I'll get that right eventually. And Nina Hughes, Shanika Johnson was then announced as the winner. So Nina Hughes is 6-1 with 2 KOs. Now in that fight, look, I've got a feeling. I mean, we want the Aussie girl to win, Shanika Johnson. I've just got a feeling, though, that Nina Hughes, I thought she was unlucky in the first fight. I think she might get the job done this time in the rematch. Obviously hoping Shanika Johnson can win. But as I said, I thought Hughes was desperately unlucky. I mean, it was close-ish last time, but I thought Nina Hughes done enough, and I think she'll right that this time. So I think Nina Hughes will get a decision win over Shanika Johnson. Then with the other female world title fight, Skye Nicholson, 12-0 with the one big knockout. She's up against Tiara Brown, so who is 18-0 with 11 knockouts. So Skye coming off a decision win over Raven Chapman back in October, and Tiara Brown with who'd she beat last? A 8-round decision over Calista Salgado in January. So it's fought pretty recently. So this will be a tough one. A very, very tough one. I think Tiara Brown's going to give Skye Nicholson all she can handle. She's going to be aggressive. I mean, she's strong. She's hard. 11 KOs in 18 fights for a female, regardless of the competition, is pretty impressive. So I think she'll go after Skye, but I just think Skye, her boxing talent will confuse not Nina Hughes, not finding Nina Hughes, not yet anyway. I think that Skye Nicholson's boxing ability and skills and everything, the angles and everything that she puts up will be a little bit too much for a pretty much straight up and down Tiara Brown. And I think Skye Nicholson wins a decision over Tiara Brown. It'll be a tough fight though, her toughest yet. And I think I said yesterday, I applaud Skye for taking a fight like this. She's been accused of fighting girls that really aren't up to it, record patters and everything. But Tiara Brown is the real deal, and I think, again, she'll give her a good fight. But Skye Nicholson in a 10-round decision for me. And then we go to the main event, George Kambosos. What's his record these days? 21-3, 10 knockouts, coming off the loss to Vasily Lobachenko in May last year. And Jake Whyllie, who is 16-1, 15 knockouts. He's coming off a no contest against Alan Villanova, Villanova, we'll call him, and it was an accidental head clash in that fight. So, where you going, Neil? So look, it's easy just to disregard Jake Whyllie as just a young kid who's just been thrown in the deep end with no chance. And that would be good in theory. George Kambosos is very experienced, been around the block a few times, fought the likes of Teofimo Lopez, Lomachenko, Haney twice. So obviously got the credentials. And yes, I know he hasn't been able to beat the likes of Haney and Lomachenko, but he did beat Lopez. This is what gets forgotten all the time. He did beat Lopez, and I don't want to hear that Lopez was sick or wasn't prepared. Maybe he wasn't prepared, but look, you can only go in there and do what you got to do, so I'm sick of that argument. Facts of the matter are George Kambosos won the world undisputed lightweight title and defended it against Devin Haney once, and then had the rematch, and then still stepped up to fight Lomachenko. So I admire George for what he does. So let's not forget that. But look, but the thing is with Jake Whyllie, he might be raw, he might be inexperienced, because again, 16 fights, but no one of note. No one of note. Dana Coolwell, but that was early in his career. So look, I think Jake Whyllie will bring it up to George. If he hits George, this is the big problem. If you can lay some good punches on George, doesn't matter how good a fighter you are, you get hit, you know, this could be lights out. So that's his big opportunity. I think he's going to take it right up to George. The problem with Jake, I will say though too, is that I've seen a few of his highlights and a lot of his fights actually, plus highlights of the ones I haven't seen. And it's really hard to gauge like a lot of these type of fighters, because they look sensational against inferior competition. They knock them out, they can do whatever they want. And then when they come up against someone that gives them a little bit of their own back, they really struggle. So that's the only issue with Jake. It's very hard to get a real good indication of his abilities. He looks super skilled. He looks a really, really good young kid, very well taught by Luke Melden and Steve Della up there at Fortitude. And a very neat boxer, very patient, always well conditioned. So he's going to give George a good fight, but I'm going to stick with the script. And even though Jake Whyllie is definitely a live dog in it, as they say, I really think that George might, you might have a difficult first 3 or 4 rounds, but I think once the fight sort of settles into its groove in the 5th, 6th, 7th round onwards, I think you might see George Kambosos pick it up and really start to pull away from Jake. And I think he might maybe stop him late, but I'm probably going to go by decision. It'll be a clear decision for George. They always say there's levels in this sport, and I just can't make a lot out of Jake Whyllie, except for the fact that he looks like a really good prospect. And again, when you're fighting real lesser lights, well, not lesser lights, but no one at world level, it's really hard to gauge exactly what you've got to offer. But then again, sometimes you get these type of fighters who get an opportunity and take it and cause the upset. But I'm going to stick with George Kambosos in a decision win, maybe late round stoppage. You've got to remember, this is a 12-round fight. And you would think that George Kambosos will be trying to, as they say, sort of take him out into the sort of deeper waters, as the fight drags on and Jake Whyllie starts to feel the impact of, which should be a pretty fast-paced fight. You would think as he starts to maybe gas and is looking for that second wind, that's when you might find George start to pick it up and really drag him out into those deeper waters and see what he's made of. And I just think, as I said, it might be a late round stoppage, 10th, 11th, 12th even, but I think George Kambosos wins this fight. And there he is on cue. There's our little mate. I'll say good day to Neil. So it should be a great card. Should be a really, really great card, except for those earlier fights. I'm only there for 3 fights, so I don't really care about those early ones. If you want to put the TV on early and watch them, that's great. But the 3 main fights will be worth watching, I guarantee it. Now, some other news yesterday. Jai Opetaia has been, well, it was announced. They did it actually live on the stream yesterday with the weigh-in that he will fight. Is it Claudio? Now, I've got to get this right. I think it's Claudio Scaweo, I think his name is. I think that's his name. Let me just type it in again. That is his name. I've just got to get his record up. He's a 34-year-old. Now, I think he's Mexican, but he was born in Spain, I think. Let me just type his name in again. You would think I would be organised, wouldn't you? Claudio Scaweno. It's a nice name. Oh, that's not him. Sorry, I'll get him back up. Spell check. Don't you hate it when you're trying to type his name in? Come on. All right. Scaweno. Let's have a look. All right. No, he's not coming up. All right, disregard. I'm pretty sure he's, hang on, I know where to find it. Riveting viewing this morning. All right. Claudio Scawayo. All right, there he is. So he is 17-0 with 9 knockouts, ranked number 14 by the IBF, not ranked by any of the other sanctioning bodies in the top 15. Now, I had a look at Scawayo yesterday after it was announced. Oh my. Look, I don't blame Jai Opetaia for this. The pushback from, as you'd imagine, fans and reporters and everyone around the world hasn't been great. This is not Jai's fault. You've got to look at it for what it is. If you listen to his interview with Eddie Hearn and whoever it was with him yesterday on the DAZN stream, he almost sounded desperate for that Zerto fight or a fight of that magnitude. He was like, what is wrong with these guys? I want to fight these guys. You could almost see him sort of gritting his teeth and sort of spit coming out of his mouth. He was saying it. That's how passionate he was about it. And he wants that fight, and he would not be happy about this matchup. I can guarantee it. He wants Zerto or Benavides or one of these types of guys. And Claudio Scawayo would not be the type of guy that's going to get him motivated, but he'll do it. It's just a tune-up fight. Good morning. But it's just a warm-up fight for him, or a voluntary, so he'll take it. He'll get the win. But I watched a bit of Scawayo yesterday on, oh, come here, man, on YouTube, and wow. Look, the guy he fought, he did knock out. So, but wow, this is not going to end well for Scawayo. Actually, it probably depends on what mood Jai Opetaia is in. Look, he's a shorter guy. I think I said he's 34 years old. Yeah, shorter guy. Doesn't, or has never learned to jab by the looks of things. He just comes in, head down, and tries to bowl the big punches over the top. Well, that's not going to work with Jai Opetaia. Yeah, it's not going to be good. But again, you don't know these guys once they front up and what they're going to have. But the guy who's fighting was pretty average, and he'd get hit quite a lot. So again, I don't think Jai's going to be very happy about this fight. He'll be, all right, I'll fight him, I'll smash him. And then hopefully, look, I think what's happened here is that he's obviously frustrated by not being able to get Zerto, but I reckon they've told him, hey, look, let Zerto fight Dorticos for, he's mandatory. You just fight this guy, get a voluntary out the road. He's had his mandatory against Niika. Just have a voluntary in between, and we'll make the fight end of the year. So this is the thing, everyone criticising the fight. I think that's what they've got to look at. It's not like Jai said, well, let's avoid Zerto or Benavides or whatever and fight this guy instead. It's not like that. I mean, obviously, Jai Opetaia is not built that way. So he's just not. So that's what I think's happened. They've said, look, Jai, just relax, mate. Calm down. We'll put you back in your cage. We'll feed you this guy just to keep you happy. Was it May, I think, on the Gold Coast. Great to be back at the Gold Coast, by the way. Brilliant venue up there, and it was a great crowd last time. And they've said to him, look, we'll feed you this guy, and then we'll look at Zerto later in the year in Riyadh. Or they're part of the Riyadh season. That's what I think's going to happen. So everyone out there with the knickers in a twist, just relax. Okay, this will be an easy tune-up for Jai. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't go past 3, 4, maybe 5 rounds. And then we can look at one of those big fights after that. So everyone just calm down. It's okay. All right? It's all good. I tell you what, though, you can tell Eddie Hearn's pretty weary of Jai Opetaia. You can see even when they were doing the interview. Now, if you don't know, Jai's not a massive fan of Eddie Hearn, which is, I know, is funny because he's his promoter or co-promoter. But you can tell that Jai's not a fan. And Eddie knows it. And you can see he stands his distance from Jai. Come here, buddy. You can see he keeps his distance from Jai. Come on, can't go that way. So that's it. So I think it's May 14th on the Gold Coast. So we'll look forward to that one. And one last thing before I go, guys. I forgot to yesterday. I want to give a quick shout out to our old mate Grant Tassie Brown. He held a charity event last week with Anthony Mundine in an exhibition fight down there in Tassie. Did really, really well out of it. Donated a cheque for 10 grand to the Peter Mac Cancer Hospital in Melbourne. I rang him the other day and he said he was on his way to the hospital to present the cheque. So $10,000, great stuff, and doing awesome work there. And he's trying to make some waves in the boxing world, is Tassie. He's got Terence Crawford apparently coming out here, I think in June, May or June. And he's going to do a 3-city tour, Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane. So keep a lookout for tickets. Yeah, Terence Crawford in a meet and greet, dinner type of setup, a sportsman's night type of thing, and he'll be out here before he starts training for the Canelo fight. So it'll be a great opportunity to hear him talk, to meet him. I think there's different packages available before he goes back and starts training for one of the biggest fights of the last sort of decade against Canelo Alvarez. So keep a look out for details on that. And also, which could be even bigger, is he's looking at bringing the WBC convention to Sydney. How big would that be? So I know there's a lot of water to go under the bridge and a lot of boxes have to be ticked, and there's funding and grants and all this sort of stuff. But the fact that he's zeroed in on it, good on him. And if we get that WBC convention in Australia, that would be huge. The first one ever in the 60 odd years that they've been conducting these yearly conventions. So good luck with that, Tassie. So doing great work. But guys, that's going to do it for this Saturday. Hope you enjoy the fights tonight. We will do a review, of course, tomorrow. And hopefully we've got some good news reporting back on some good fights. Maybe upsets, you never know. But anyway, guys, it's a beautiful day. Enjoy it, and we'll catch you tomorrow.